Nobody has been harder about and more prescient, I must say, about Donald Trump than me. I don't need to be lectured on who Donald Trump is.
Call Trump Hitler is to call over 80 million Americans, 35% of Jewish Americans, 56% of Hispanic men, and the majority of Americans who make under $100,000 a year, Nazis, because those are the people who gave Donald Trump his victory. He is so wealthy. I mean, how did
they're all wealthy.
Donald Trump is a billionaire.
Maher, they're all wealthy.
Pardon the Camp Auschwitz guy. He had Nick Fuentes and Kanye West over for Thanksgiving dinner. He's not exactly Nazi averse.
He's also the father-in-law and grandfather of Jewish children. Come on, Trump has done more for Jewish people. I'm Sicilian who grew up with Jewish people around me. He is fantastic. Okay, you know what? Actions speak louder than words. He may have said some stupid stuff in the past.
And just like that, we back, man. What's going on, people? Y'all good out there in the world? I hope you're doing fine. As for me, I am doing fine. I cannot complain. You understand me, man? With that being said, man, we're going to get ready to jump right into this little video, man. It's got Punchable Face Man isn't on here. Scott Jennings isn't one of his episodes. But I can't say she's got a punchable face because that would be improper. But Batya Sargon, I forget the last part of her name. She's she's hard to deal with. She's hard to listen to, man. But this little conversation involves how up in arms and how much they crying about. Oh my God, Larry David and what he said about Bill Maher.
Tonight, comedian on comedian violence over a dinner with Donald Trump. Larry David is using his pen to point out what he sees as Bill Maher's misguided meal with the president and his even more misguided monologue to defend that dinner. The satire published in the New York Times had David assuming the role of Maher and Adolf Hitler standing in for Donald Trump. Here's a section of that piece. Quote, no one I knew encouraged me to go. He's Hitler. He's a monster. But I eventually concluded that hate gets us nowhere. I knew I couldn't change his views, but we needed to talk to the other side, even if it had invaded and annexed other countries and committed unspeakable crimes against humanity. And I realized I'd never seen him laugh before. Suddenly, he seemed so human. Here I was, prepared to meet Hitler, the one I'd seen and heard, the public Hitler. But this private Hitler was a completely different animal. It's pretty cutting, but he kind of mirrors almost exactly what Bill Maher said. Maybe I should just play it just so people know. This is what Bill Maher said after he met with Trump.
To all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. Meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. So no, I didn't go MAGA. And to the president's credit, there was no pressure to. Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public.
You know, Bill Maher is such a, I can't say polarizing individual. He's a wishy-washy guy. He's pretty much a conservative, pretty much a Trumper, but he tries to ride the fence as far as, you know, what he presents on his show, but a lot of times he lets the cat out the bag, and so he went down his little rabbit hole of falling in love with Trump over this little meeting they had and this, that, and the third. So Larry David, as a comedian, as a funny guy, we know he's a very funny guy to be exact. I saw something that got my attention. I didn't know what the hell that was. And it ended up being nothing. I'm just tripping. Oh no, it's a gnat. A gnat. Don't fly. Gnat. Damn it. So yeah, they all heard up about the comments that Larry David had about he did a whole little comedy routine about Bill Maher and his little wishy-washiness as it pertains to his conservative leanings. You dig what I'm saying? And they're just all heard up about it. And first we're gonna get the party started with Batya, and it's gonna go just about the way that you imagine.
Nobody has been harder about and more prescient, I must say, about Donald Trump than me. I don't need to be lectured on who Donald Trump is. Just to use the Hitler thing, first of all, I just think it's kind of insulting to 6 million dead Jews. You know, like that should kind of be in its own place in history. And, you know, I know people can say, well, we're just comparing it in this way. Well, it's an argument you kind of lost just to start it.
That's what you said a couple days ago, Dan.
Exactly.
That just using the comparison, you lose people. You know, Batya, I want your take on how that comes across to you, as you are Jewish, and a Trump supporter at that. But what's your take?
And a person who half my family was murdered by the actual Hitler. You know, in addition to it being deeply offensive to Jews, to call Trump Hitler is to call over 80 million Americans, 35% of Jewish Americans, 56% of Hispanic men, and the majority of Americans who make under $100,000 a year, Nazis, because those are the people who gave Donald Trump his victory. And I just have a pro tip for any Democrats who are thinking about winning back the working class, those people who make under $100,000 a year, who a majority of whom voted for Trump. You should have a visceral disgust.
I do. I have a visual disgust for Batya is insufferable, bro. First, let's make a couple of corrections. I don't know why it's dog. You know, listen. Let me say this to conservative MAGA voters. It should be insulting to your intelligence that people think that they can literally just tell you anything, and you will believe it, as if you are bereft of a brain or fingers to type into your Google or your Grok and verify. I find that it should be insulting to your intelligence. Batya, they always explode the numbers. Batya says over 80 million Americans, to be understood and to be clear. At the most, it was 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump, and approximately about 75 million that voted for Kamala Harris. Popular vote, no sir. So it's like, for one, he didn't get this mandate that the working class, so you're calling all of the Americans Nazis. No, we're not. There's most certainly, there's a saying they say, not all Trump supporters are Nazis, but all Nazis are Trump supporters. You dig what I'm saying? And so it goes. So, but you are not labeling everyone that supports Donald Trump a Nazi. They try to stoke these flames. They try to make everything such a point of just blanket. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is a threat to them. Every a piece of critical thinking alternate to what they think is like a threat, and they're always trying to demonize you. No, we're calling spades a spade, and they never do it. They don't hold anything into account. But Batya is just, you know, she's insufferable, bro. Like, she gets so passionate, and people are always quiet and just looking at her anytime she's talking, because it's just like, it's like an obvious act. You dig what I'm saying? There are some people that I think she truly believes what she's saying, but she's trying too hard to gain favor. She's like an Anna Kasparian character out here, bro. Like, it's weird, but you know, foreign people, you know, they seem to come over here and just be super American and just overly pandering to a particular side to try and gain acceptance. It's pathetic, bro.
And I just have a pro tip for any Democrats who are thinking about winning back the working class, those people who make under $100,000 a year, who a majority of whom voted for Trump. You should have a visceral disgust for someone like Larry David, who's worth $400 million, sitting there and sneering and smearing the hardest working Americans for refusing to co-sign their own disinheritance. That's effectively what they are doing when these millionaires come out here and call Trump Hitler. They are calling working class Americans Nazis because they chose the person they thought would give their children back the future they were promised by this country. And it just has to stop. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care if the Democrats get this or don't, but they should get this because this is a big part of why they have lost. Because they have these rich people. He is so wealthy. I mean,
they're all wealthy.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, and he pardoned the Camp
Morgan.
Auschwitz guy. He had Nick Fuentes and Kanye West over for Thanksgiving dinner. He's not exactly Nazi averse.
He's also the father-in-law and grandfather of Jewish children. Come on, Trump has done more for Jewish people. I'm Sicilian who grew up with Jewish people around me. He is fantastic.
He's got a long record of it.
You know what? Actions speak louder than words. He may have said some stupid stuff in the past.
What does any of this? What does anything that he just babbled out have to do with anything? Trump is the grandfather of Jewish grandchildren. One of his kids married a Jewish person and had a kid. So what? What is he gonna say? I banish you from my family because you're Jewish? What does that have? I'm Sicilian and I grew up with Jewish people around me. So what? It is so crazy how they jump in front of an entire speeding locomotive bus train to stop any criticism of what this man got going on. Bro just read down a couple of factoids. You dig what I'm saying? He's not particularly Nazi averse. Well, I ate some Jewish bread last night. What do you mean? And I'm Trump's friend. I eat Jewish bread. Oh my God, bro. And to be clear, Larry David is Jewish.
What he's been doing, cracking down on Harvard with their anti-Semitic policies.
That is a lie. It's not you know it's not about anti-Semitism.
Really? Look at how Harvard has treated Alan Dershowitz, who was there for 50 years.
Alan Dershowitz has punched his own ticket, my friend. If Donald Trump wants to root out anti-Semitism, he can go over to the Nazi chat room that Twitter has turned into. The fact is, Hitler did a lot of awful things that were unrelated to the Shoah, and it is not unfair or inappropriate to compare the policies of this government to the policies of the right.
Okay.
No, it's not. Hitler banned abortion. Hitler persecuted LGBTQ. Hitler hated immigrants.
I agree with Dan and Boccia. Hitler goes in his own little category.
I wish Hitler was more like.
I like to jump off right there about a statement that he made. And you know, I guess by default, by being opposed to the right, I guess that makes me on the left. I hate all of these different terms that they got to it, and centrist and left of right and neo and I'm not getting that deep into it. Those are constructs for people, for a certain type of people, man. And I'll speak on actually the influencers out here a little later on in this video. But when he says it's a loser for the left, what did they get that from? Again, the guy just pointed out, you know, Hitler hated the LGBT community. He hated minorities. He hated unions. He spoke about destroying universities because he didn't agree with what they were teaching. These are parallels that Trump draws with Hitler. I don't know why he says it's a loser. Does he think that people hear those comparisons and just out of blind ignorance just be like, oh, I'm gonna vote for him now because they call him Hitler? I hadn't heard many people of the Jewish community, except for, I guess, Trumpers, come out and complain about, you know, again, Larry David is Jewish. You dig what I'm saying? So Biden's talking about people being offended. Well, apparently not. And like I said, I don't know what they mean by it being a loser, man. I don't think people hear him and draw parallels. There's actually, should I plug Tubi? I don't know. There's a documentary on that streaming app, and they flash back and forth between some of, you know, Trump's speeches and his rallies and this, that, and the third, and then they're interlaced with, you know, the same scenes from Hitler Germany. And it's weird how how they line up. The things he's saying. You would think that he read some of his speeches and incorporated into it. And when you know the people that are around him, the Stephen Millers, the Steve Bannons of the world, yeah, it wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to think that they reach into those coffers, if you will, and scoop out certain pieces of information that they infuse and mannerism and characteristics that they're trying to infuse into him to mesmerize and take control of the people. So I don't agree with him that it's a loser. I don't think it's just, and it's a wild thing. I guess I'll speak on that now before I get back into the last part of the video. I'm starting to feel and understand at least this aspect, this theory, this train of thought from the conservative MAGA movement, right side of politics. This problem and this aversion that they have to mainstream media. I'm starting to understand what they say, because as I watch these people on the left, the issues that they discuss that are the reasons that the Democratic Party is where it is right now, and the way that they speak on correcting course, and the hand on the pulse that they seem to think they have. I don't find those things to be necessarily what the common people out here on the street, the low-level podcasters or politic talkers, it's like they have this set of things to talk about, and they feel like they're more high. Like, I'm starting to understand they feel like they're more high-minded about it, and it just makes them look stupid. I think they lose more of the people just because of thinking how it's like you're focused on the wrong things, bro. Like, you would do more harm to the left side of things by implying that that argument is such a loser. Therefore, the people that still ride with the left, they're actually like they're actually the intolerant Nazis. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's dangerous to play the line that they play, man. And it's hard to understand, but I guess when you get that high up into the level of politics, it should just get different. But I don't agree that this is a loser. I don't think people hear that and are immediately turned off for voting for Democrats or immediately wanting to support Trump because of it.
Arthur and John, just give me 1 second, because I want to take what you're saying, because this is an important point, I think, that gets lost in all of the yelling, to be frank.
I'm sorry for yelling.
There was a lot of Hitler talk by Democrats in the campaign. Trump is going to, right? But I think what they're saying now, Democrats, is a little bit different. Listen to Larry Tribe saying not what Trump has promised to do, but what Trump is doing or has done has historical parallels.
Nice little university you have there. Be a shame if something happened to it. That's what Hitler basically said, although it sounds different in the original German, when he said it to the university at Frankfurt and then took them over. That's what Orban has done in Hungary. That's what Erdogan has done in Turkey. It's a standard technique.
The comparisons to Hitler are a loser for the left. I mean,
I agree, but I'm not saying they're not fair.
Well, again, you may think they're fair. The problem is
policies. Yes,
I get it, but
it's only just threatened universities, I would have met my great grandparents. Like, come on.
It's very hard to draw that line to say,
agree.
well, I'm really just talking about some of the things that Hitler did.
Authoritarianism has patterns.
I got it, but there are other authoritarians to compare him to.
Great, let's compare to Mussolini. I'd love to do that.
But again, you won't get into much trouble as you
I
will
agree
with
with you.
All
I
right?
agree. It's a third rail.
Right. It's a third rail for a reason.
Yes.
Because Hitler was uniquely bad.
Yeah.
He was uniquely evil.
And I think
right?
and really, I think we should take seriously what Batya's point is about the true, pure evil of mass murder.
Right.
That Hitler engaged in, which you can talk about a lot of other authoritarians and authoritarian behavior, and it's not that still. Correct. Right? So I guess her question is fair. Why not just compare him to other authoritarians?
I agree. I do it all the time. I'm just saying, and there's nothing that this administration has done in either term that compares to what Hitler did to the Jews of Europe. But nothing compares to it. But there are other really crappy things Hitler did that are not unfair to put up.
But it doesn't mean that you can't say, for example, when Hitler was leading up to Czechoslovakia, right, and how he went about convincing Chamberlain.
That's why we compare Putin to Hitler.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, you can talk about historically specific specific things Hitler did that were comparable to other. But what you can't do is make broad comparisons. But that's what Larry David was doing. Larry David is saying, when you're sitting down with this guy, and he didn't say it's like sitting down with Hitler, but that was the point of the piece, right? Which was in effect, it has the same impact. And that's where you get into trouble. I think you can draw a line and say there's specific historical things you can talk about, but when you make the big picture comparison, that's when you get into some real trouble.
Shame on the New York Times for printing it. How about that?
All right.
Do you know how many letters to the editor they get all the time? They don't print.
I don't want
That was one
to not to defend the New York Times. I mean, they did write a whole explanation about why they did it. They said callbacks to history can be offensive, imprecise, or in terrible taste, which some people might argue this is, when you are leveraging genocidal dictators to make a point. But Larry's piece is not equating Trump with Hitler. It is about seeing someone for who they really are and not losing sight of that.
Not since
my guy was on there cooking. I forget his name. He was cooking. It was a great point to bring up. J.D. Vance most certainly did, as with many of his most staunchest, most proudest, most loudest supporters. They had big-time problems with him just a handful of years ago. But the way that they came and wrote that little cleanup about the article, I mean, they put it properly. They put it properly. No one out there believes that Trump is like killing people and hoarding them into. He has made comments about concentration camps as it refers to the deportation of illegal immigrants. You know what I'm saying? We went down the list of the other things, that draw parallels to things that we've seen before. You dig what I'm saying? So, I don't see why, and they've been sticking on that for so long. It's as if they really think that Trump won the election because people were calling him Hitler. I mean, people can Google. They can see what he's done and type up and go back to 1945 and go to the speeches and go and see what he was implementing in Germany and see if it draws any parallels. I mean, it's just so weird how they stick on that, and they make that. They've been talking about that for months. Don't call him Hitler. Don't call him Hitler. You got TYT basically losing their whole ass over there at TYT, all because their whole stick started with, oh, don't call him Hitler. Like, what's wrong with you people on the left? Why you call him Hitler? I think you're pushing me away because you called Trump Hitler. Like, I don't understand the fixation on that. It's obviously a loser conversation. It's not that important, bro. People are not running around. Even Trump supporters, if you're online on Twitter, they're not even crying about you calling them Hitler. Like, why is this such a big deal in the media, man? It's weird, but that was Abby, man. Abby has an interesting little panel every night, and I plan to start pretty much keeping up with that nightly and bringing a steady stream of material from that, because that's the show that Punchable Face Jennings Scott is a part of, and boy, oh boy, he gets my blood a-boiling. I ain't gonna lie to you, cuz. But that's been the video for the night, man, and just like that, I'm out.